Hello, friends. Your offer is accepted, and the question is what is next? So let's move forward with this. We are going to talk about today that your earnest money and the option money has been sent to the title company. And what happens during that period, which is your option period for 8 days? You are supposed to do the total health checkup for the subject property, and you need an expert, correct? So I have invited here the subject matter expert, Mr. TJ Hilshire from HG Home Inspection, who will talk to us in detail about what is involved in the health checkup of the house we have selected. Let me turn. Hello, Mr. TJ.
Hi.
It's very nice, having you here on the stage with us.
Well, thank
And really, we are going to pick your brain. And please give us all the nuggets you have collected over the years so my clients can understand what is a home inspection.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Home inspections is our business, HG Home Inspection. We have 17 inspectors on staff, so we have a wide variety of inspections. We've done about 40,000 of them, so over the years we've seen a little bit of everything. But the most important part is making sure that our clients, our shared clients, understand exactly what they're buying. People ask us all the time if the past inspection or a failed inspection. There's not really a pass or fail. It's just a matter of making sure that the buyer understands exactly what they're buying. So to kind of go over what an inspection entails, especially if you're new as a home buyer, first things we're going to check are going to be your structural components, which are your most important things. Most people are very, very, especially in the Houston area, concerned about foundations.
Absolutely.
So, the foundations, that's the basis of the entire home. So we're going to go in and we're going to check that foundation. There's lots of signs of a foundation that is performing, and there's lots of signs that tell us if a foundation is not performing. There's some of the more obvious ones that realtors pick up on a lot of times: doors that are sticking, windows that are jammed up. Things like that are pretty obvious signs. Cracks in the foundation wall. But there's also telltale signs in the attic area. We'll see separation in structural components in the attic if the foundation is shifting or moving in any way. We also measure it, of course. We check for variations in the foundation. So that's probably the one that most buyers are the most nervous about.
Yes.
And then it shifts from there to roof. Now, to me, roofing is very important, obviously, because it keeps the weather out of the home, but also it's the least invasive thing to fix. If somebody had to put a new roof on, the workers aren't coming in the house, and it's not a several month process. It's usually a 2-day process. They tear the roof off, they put a new roof on, but you know what condition your roof is in. One of the hardest things about it, and you probably heard insurance companies ask you or to ask us how old the roof is. We have no way of telling how old the roof is, and that's one of the funny things about it. Is I almost want to tell them I didn't check its ID, but because
why is it important for insurance company to know? And it's like most of the time when I ask the seller, it's always like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know how old the roof is. And to me, I have no clue. As long as the roof is good, isn't it supposed to be performing and good, and it is good?
It's either performing and good, or it has deficiencies that we list. So, and from our standpoint, the insurance companies, I'm not sure why they ask us that, but they do from time to time. And we really can't give them a firm answer because we have no way of knowing. I've seen roofs that are 5 years old look like they were put on yesterday, and I've seen roofs that are 2 years old that were in terrible condition because of a hailstorm or something of that nature happening shortly after.
Area, which it could be affecting the roof.
Absolutely.
Close to the coastal or the windy area.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So then, our inspection would go further into the structural, which would be like walls, windows, flooring.
Yes.
All those things are checked. We basically go through each room, open every window, every door, make sure everything is performing like it should. If it's not, of course, we're going to recommend that you have a qualified professional come in and make any repairs that are needed or that you desire to have done. Of course, it's always up to the buyer and their agent to decide what they want to ask for. We never give that advice. That's your department, not ours.
You are so good, because I have had horror stories in past, and that's why I like your company and your people who come there, because a lot of time people poke their nose where they don't belong and will start advising them, oh, you need to replace it and it will cost you this and it will cost you that, and that scares buyer when it could be just a minor $200 to $500 fix.
And it really, a lot of times, depends on who you talk to also on repairs. We don't physically do the repairs. We are just there to identify what the problems are or what could be a potential problem. So I really do think that when some inspectors step off into that area of pricing things, they're leaving themselves open, and they're leaving the buyer in a situation where you could scare them off, or
Yes.
on something that could be very little, or it could be something that's way more than what they predicted. So I think leaving the professionals to the estimating is definitely
Right way to do it. That's
absolutely
what I say,
yes,
that
ma'am.
Let's call the professional so we know accurately what to ask seller to fix it, because we don't want to go in the gossip or should be or it could be. Can you also tell us what are these sections? Because I see the inspection report starting from 30 pages to 60 pages.
Oh yes, and sometimes even though a report might be 30 or 60 or even 90 pages, which we've seen some that long, that doesn't always mean it's a bad house. It could be minor things, because we do put cosmetic things on the report as well, especially for out of town buyers, investors that are maybe from out of town. We want to make sure that they even know the little things, cracks in the wall, drywall, things like that. But basically, after we look at the structural components, we're going to look at the electrical,
Yes.
make sure it's it's safe. That's the main thing with electrical, is that it is safe and it's all installed properly, because electricity can be dangerous if somebody.
Absolutely.
Now, over the years, codes have changed and things have changed in homes. That just because we have to put on there that it's not to today's standard doesn't necessarily mean it's unsafe. It just means it's not exactly to today's codes and things like that. Now, we're not code inspectors. We're there for more best practices and to make you aware of any dangers and things like that. So electrical's real important. But I would never let the number of pages of a report scare me. I would let the content of the report push my judgment one way or another.
So let me ask you this. In this, I think you brought a very important point, that today's code, building code changes. I don't know whether they change every year or every 5 years, but whenever they do get changed, and if it is mandatory or it is critical, and that it has to be today's standard, and one you just mentioned that it doesn't mean that it is going to be critical. It could be just that you are mentioning it, that today's code is different and it's not critical, it's not going to really endanger the people who live inside the house.
And a good example of that. Okay, so moving from electrical for a minute, back to structural, stairways.
Right.
You and I have talked about this before in the past. The handrails going up the stairs.
Right.
Today's code or standard is the pickets on the stairs can be no more than 4 inches apart.
Right.
Now, many homes built in the 80s and before, or even the 90s, or even today I'm seeing some new construction homes being built with pickets further than 4 inches apart for decorative reasons and things like that. And I have, over the 40,000 inspections that we've done as a company, I have never seen anybody walk away from a home because the pickets on the stairs were further apart than 4 inches.
4.25 inch. Yeah.
So it's it's something we're required to put on there by our licensing, but it doesn't affect the sale one way or another typically. So
Thank you for explaining that.
absolutely.
Okay, and I think then after the structure and the electrical, do you all check what is next?
Next as far as in the report order would be the HVAC system, your air conditioning and heating. That, in Houston, air conditioning is probably more important than heating.
Important than anything else.
But we definitely, that's one of the things that we like to make sure is when we schedule an appointment with any realtor or any buyer, is that the gas and electricity have been on the home for at least 12 hours.
Oh, okay.
That way we can make sure if there's a gas furnace, that there's no leaks and things like that for the gas for safety reasons. And we want to make sure that the water heaters have heated up and cycled on and off like they should. But the air conditioning, what we're going to check with that is we're going to make sure it's cooling properly, first of all, and make sure there's no obvious deficiencies with the air conditioner that could cause problems pretty directly, like corrosion on the coils, things of that nature. A lot of times we'll recommend annual service on the AC,
Right.
and usually the annual service includes minor things like replacing insulation around some of the piping and things like that deal with the air conditioners. So AC is definitely one of our key points here, and then heat as well. We'll check the heat as well. From there, we do the plumbing system.
In fact, made me laugh because just your inspection only, about a month ago, the seller had turned off the utility off, and the gas and the water was off. And I am glad that we just happened to talk about it, and they said, oh, we have called the gas company to turn on the gas. And I'm like, we are having inspection today, we can't do it. And right away we had to call you and reschedule it. So make sure, everybody, when you call the inspector, and if you think the house was not lived in for a while, make sure the gas, electric, and the water, all those three things are on, so that way they can check all those equipment or the mechanical parts to make sure they are working properly.
Absolutely. And the gas is the one that's overlooked the easiest, because even the listing agent sometimes doesn't realize the gas is off. They'll know if the electricity's off because they come in and turn on the lights, and the water, because they wash their hands or maybe use the restroom or something while they're there. But the gas is the number one that's overlooked so easily. So we definitely we don't like to show up and be off because it's a wasted
there's
trip.
A second trip charge, and it is passed on to buyer, and I just feel it is really not a good practice for a seller or a seller's agent to make buyer pay 2 trip fee for the inspection.
Oh no, and that's why we do send out a confirmation to both sides.
Right.
That's the only time we contact the selling agent, is just to let them know we're going to be on property and that we expect all the utilities to be on. And sometimes, even though sometimes they call us the morning of at 7 a.m. panicking, saying, oh no, I just realized the gas is off, we appreciate that, because there's other customers that are wanting inspections. A lot of times we can move those inspections into those spots. But, when we get there, it's already past our inspection time, and find out, it's not a good time to find out.
Yes, because those are long trip. Houston is big, long, wide, whatever you say. It could take hour and a half to get to the property.
Absolutely.
So we have to really do our due diligence as agent and make sure when the inspector arrives, everything, all the utilities are on, the door is, kind of open or whatever, if there is a lockbox, the code is shared with them. There are some due diligence we need to do on our side too.
Absolutely. And if you got your lockbox in an odd spot, which happens from time to time.
Absolutely.
Oh, we have some of our inspectors call us and say, hey, I can't find it anywhere. And then we end up finally getting a hold of somebody that knows where it is. And they're like, oh, it's on the back fence.
Under one of the tile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or under the mat. It's like, okay, there's no lockbox.
Yes.
So
yes, we go through that.
absolutely.
Okay. So now that we have done 3 sections, what is the 4th one?
The next one's going to be your appliances.
Oh, okay.
So we like to go through and check all the appliances in the kitchen, make sure they're installed properly. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, especially on new builds, the builder will try to they like to put the appliances in the very last day before closing.
Absolutely.
And that's for theft purposes and things like that, because there's so many people coming in and off the property. Nobody knows what the other hand's doing, so somebody could pull up and just take that washer and dryer or dishwasher and load it on their van and go, and nobody would stop them because they wouldn't know if they were supposed to be there or
also,
not.
Because there are other workers, I think they could just ding them.
Oh yeah.
And these are brand new appliances. So
absolutely.
They try to make sure that just 1 or 2 days before the closing, they deliver all the brand new appliances and remove the film, do the final walkthrough.
And that's when they need us to come in, because we want to make sure those are hooked up properly.
No way. None of my clients would like to call inspector for a brand new home. Why do you think it's necessary?
Oh, new homes are, well, just like we just discussed, there's so many different people building a new home. You have the electrician, you have the drywall people, the insulation people, and they have one person that's coordinating it all.
Okay.
And that one person might have 20 homes that he's coordinating or she's coordinating at the same time. And we've gone to new homes, open the attic door, and there'd be no insulation in the home. And they're closing the next day. They have all the appliances installed, everything works like it should, but there's not any insulation in the attic whatsoever. Now, you can imagine if you didn't get that inspection done, living in that home for a year with no insulation in that attic, what your light bill would be alone. Not to mention the overworking of the HVAC systems and everything else in the home. So not only are you pushing your light bill sky high, but you're also wearing out your equipment. I mean, you're putting probably 3 to 5 years worth of wear and tear on your air conditioner just because you don't have the proper insulation. So another thing is we've inspected new homes that had no gas lines run to the gas furnace.
No way, really?
So, and it was summertime, so these people would have moved in, lived there for 3 to 6 months before they had to turn their heater on, and then find out there's no gas line run to the gas furnace. So you can imagine the headache that could cause. That
so
same,
why did I say it sarcastically? No, why do we need it? Hear it straight from him. When I tell my clients, when I'm going to sign with them, when we find a new home and they tell me, I always tell them, actually, if the house is going to be built, you need a 3-phase inspection. What is 3-phase, which we will ask Mr. TJ to explain it, but inspection from independent company which works for you versus the project manager who is doing 20 or 30 homes in that neighborhood is not going to do as thorough job as your inspector can. And it will save you, your life will be easy, and it's not big money. When you are buying a home for $500,000, $300,000, or $1 million, doesn't matter. It's one of your biggest investment. And to save that, to make it perfect, habitable, and worry-free, $1,000 is nothing. So please listen to that and do the 3-phase inspection. Can you explain what is a 3-phase?
absolutely. First would be a pre-pour for the foundation to make sure all the proper components are going to be in the concrete when they pour it and done properly. Also, make sure that the foundation is going to be level. So when you do a pre-pour, we make sure the elevations on the forms for the foundation are all level and with each other. The second would be a pre-drywall, is what we call it. So it'd be a framing inspection.
So after the framing is done, before the insulation
Yes, ma'am.
is put inside, okay?
So it'd be like once the windows are in, before the outside siding goes on. So we want to make sure that the house wrap that you see wrapped around the homes, that usually say something like Tyvek or something like that on it.
Yes.
We want to make sure those are installed properly, because that's your vapor barrier. That keeps, that's actually your last defense against water coming into your home. So that goes behind your siding and between your siding and your structure. So the windows all have to be actually taped in with special tape. There has to be nail plates where wiring runs through some of your framing. They put a little metal plate, so if you hang a picture, you don't put a hole in a piece of pipe or in a piece of wiring.
Oh, okay.
Which I just had somebody else talking to yesterday about that. They moved into their home. It's one of our clients. And about a month after they moved in, some of their lights started flickering, and they found out it was a nail through one of the wires. Now, when we were there, it performed just like it should, but as time went on, that penetration of that wire became more of a problem.
It just made a hole,
Yeah, so it ended up making the wire separate and it would flicker. And the builder came in and fixed it, no problem. We like to catch that kind of stuff when we're there, but if she had done a phase 2 inspection, which is the framing, we would have caught that, or we at least would have noted that there wasn't a nail plate there. So that's very important. And then your third phase is going to be your final inspection. We call it move-in ready inspection. So that's when we're going to be able to test everything. We're going to try to create living conditions in that new home. Now, is that possible? We can never get a home to exactly like it is once you move in, because once those dishwashers are running and the washer and dryer, and people are taking showers and baths, that creates more strain on the house than we can actually mimic. But at least we're going to get in there and we're going to try to find every deficiency. Because another one we found on that same house of that gas line is a dishwasher drain line wasn't hooked up.
Oh, okay.
Now, you can imagine how bad that'd be, unloading your
All
dishes,
the dirty water.
put them in the dishwasher before you put them in the cabinet, and flood your kitchen the first night. So it can save you a lot of headaches and hassles in the long run. And the builders and us usually work together very well. You know, sometimes they have questions about what we write. We sit down, we talk with them too, and we work it all out together. So it's a very important process.
And I think I will vouch for that. One of my house, they had found a carpet, and I don't know what is it called. There was something wrong with the leveling of the floating or whatever on the carpet, and they made the builder rip it off and level it again and reinstall the carpet. This is all in a brand new home. And the same game room, the pillar was wobbly. So, and I don't know what builders did, but Hilshire home inspection, they put it in their report. All I did is fax the same report to the builder, and I'm not saying the builder name, and they fixed it before we did our final walkthrough. So it is critical, I'm not saying important, critical to do the home inspection 3 phases also on a brand new home.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. New homes, I tell people I would skip an inspection on a 2-year-old home before I'd skip it on a new home. And
I'll tell you, as a realtor, I give that money to my client and do the inspection on my expense, because I want to make sure that my clients who move in the new house has the best house, the safe house, where they can enjoy for the rest of their life.
Absolutely, and that's very important. I mean,
Thank you.
and it really is. And you know, I love working with Sonia because she's such an awesome realtor, and she knows the importance of an inspection. And so many times, you hear a realtor say, hey, we don't need an inspection, it's a new home. That's so far from the truth. It really is. And for the minimal amount of the cost of the inspection, the peace of mind is 10 times that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So once all the appliances are done, you're done pretty much, right?
Pretty much, unless there's extra components, which
Okay.
would be, like pools or outdoor kitchen,
Yes.
things like that would be under our optional systems.
Okay.
So, every home's a little different. New homes typically don't, they might have a sprinkler system or something of that nature. A lot of inspection companies charge like $100 to do the sprinklers. We don't charge extra for sprinklers. They've become such a common thing on new homes now that
It's part of the house.
it's just part of the
In
inspection.
the Houston heat, you need sprinkler system for your grass to stay healthy, all your landscape areas to stay healthy. But what about the pools, the spa? A lot of people nowadays I see have a giant pool with state-of-the-art slides and everything. Is
Oh,
it
yeah.
extra?
It is a small fee extra.
Okay.
Now, if the pool's over a certain age, we usually recommend that they have a pool company come out
Okay.
and do a more in-depth inspection. Because what we're going to do is we're going to run all the pumps. We're going to make sure everything runs properly. We're going to look for any cracks, make sure the pool sits level. Just go through that, no leaks, things of that nature. Typically, if a pool's, say, 15, 20 years old, a lot of the levers and valves are not labeled. If they're not labeled, we're not going to turn them. So that's why we recommend, say if it's a 20-year-old pool, that it might be a good idea to go ahead and have a pool company come out and give it a deeper, more thorough inspection.
Okay.
And they'll be able to tell you things like how many gallons your pool is and different things like of that nature. Now, if you're a brand new pool owner, like we refer a lot of business to Aloha Pools. I'm sure you've dealt with
Yes.
with Bob at Aloha. He does a really nice service too. Is he'll come out if you're a new pool owner after close, and he'll do a pool class with you. He'll go through your entire pool and show you how to operate it, how to clean it, and all of those things, which is above and beyond what any other pool company I've talked to has done. So
They are good. I've heard their name. I'm not used them myself, but I've really heard that they really teach you because anything when you get, the maintenance part is very critical.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you may buy a car, but if you buy a car and don't do any maintenance, things are going to fail. So anything you install in your house, you need to know the maintenance required and what are the best practices.
absolutely.
I have one question. For the roof, I see a lot of people having a solar panel.
Yes.
So
and
what do you do? How do you inspect them?
solar panels are kind of a bittersweet with with inspectors. I mean, they're a great product for the client because it saves them a lot of money on electricity.
Right.
A lot of them have the battery walls and things of that nature. It's really out of the scope as far as inspecting them. We'll visually inspect them and make sure there's no cracks or they're not broken or anything of that nature. But everywhere that the roof has a penetration, meaning a screw going through the shingle or something like that, is potentially a leak in the future. So a lot of times we will note on there that that's a maintenance issue, that somebody probably needs to check it annually, make sure that they caulk it or put roof sealant on those areas where they penetrated the roof. So I never tell anybody not to get solar panels, but I would say that it does add a little bit of maintenance as far as roofing goes to assure that you don't have any kind of leaks in the future.
If there are vertical homes which I have been selling, which are 3-story, does your inspector climb or do they use the drone?
We do the drones now.
Okay.
So, and a lot of people don't realize in the heat of summer here in the Houston and surrounding area, if we have hot, humid days that are over 90 degrees for 24 hours, the shingles start to get soft. So even if it's a 2-story or a 1-story roof, if it has a steeper pitch on the roof structure itself, those shingles start to get soft if they don't cool off
That fast.
overnight. So they'll actually rip on a steeper pitch when you walk on them. So when it's been really, say, 100 plus for 24, 48, 72 hours or
You
more,
get many days like that.
we recommend droning the entire roof.
Okay, that's for a good reason. I think
Absolutely.
none of us knew. I didn't know. That's really a great information. That even it's really detrimental to your roof, to somebody walking on it with that
Absolutely.
much heat, it could get dry and crack, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there are shoes that we have. There are special shoes for walking on roofs that we use as well if we do walk a roof. But going back to the new homes, that's another reason that it's very important to get a new home inspection is many of the builders, insurance does not cover their superintendents to walk the roofs.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and that you'd be surprised. A lot of the big builders, their superintendents, only their roofing contractors are allowed to walk those roofs. So they put the roof on, they inspect it, and then as time goes on, other people get up there, and there could be a high traffic area, maybe where the ladder
Yes.
sits. And it's very easy to replace those few shingles where the high traffic area is right after it's been installed, rather than a year or two later when you do a warranty inspection or something of that nature.
Going back to warranty, I think, so what I want to advise everybody who's listening to this, you buy a new house or you buy a lived-in home, either, right? You have 1 year warranty from the builder. They typically give it to you, which is door to door. I call it like a car warranty, bumper to bumper. Anything goes wrong, so on the 11th month, if you should put it in your calendar to call TJ Hilshire's company for inspector to come out and give you the list so you can send it to your builder. So that would be your first inspection even after you moved in. And another one I recommend heavily, most builders give you structure warranty for 10 years. And structure is like your entire building, which consists window. I don't know the foundation or not, you can tell us, but it is critical to call them in year 9 and get it inspected. Can you share, have you found what kind of defect in a structure which is covered to be fixed by the builder?
Probably the most common would be foundation.
Oh, okay.
Foundation and settlement, structural deficiencies that were caused by settlement. So sometimes it's an actual foundation issue. Other times it's just the home settling, and it does it's like separation in the framing in the attic and things of that
the
nature.
Windows can get loose too.
Oh yeah, the windows can either bind up or start leaking for whatever reason.
So in the double pane window, when I see some fogginess, is that part of the structure?
Usually, if it's in a newer window, it would be a factory defect, probably from the window or from shipping the window.
Oh, okay.
Because the double pane windows, the two panes are sealed and they have argon gas between them. So when that seal breaks, the argon gas leaks and the barrier is gone, and that's when you get the fog between the windows. So
And your insulation is busted, basically.
yes.
And you're not well insulated, and that's a defective window. Right.
Yes,
And
and
I even see that a lot of time I show the homes to people which is barely 5 or 6 year old, and I see some foggy windows. So now I know the answer. Why is it there? It's a defect. Maybe seller can contact the builder, and builder will be able to replace the windows.
And if it's an older home that maybe isn't under warranty, it's not the end of the world. There are glass companies that can come out and they disassemble that particular frame so it'll still match the home.
Oh, okay.
And they actually take the measurements and they build you a new double pane with argon gas, and then they reinstall it in the original window frame. So
they look also aesthetically clean, because can you imagine looking at the foggy window? right? I wouldn't like it.
No,
Correct?
no.
I think I want to touch one last point with you. You've covered really well, but what is this buzz about thermal plumbing check? What is that? Thermal checking between the walls?
Thermal imaging.
Okay, what
yes.
is that?
Okay, so we use what's called a thermal imaging camera, and it really picks up differences in temperature. So it's used to check plumbing, insulation, water leaks, things of that nature. So what we'll do is we'll go through the entire house and look at every wall, every inch of the ceiling, walls, everywhere in the house, and it will tell us if there's variations in the temperature. And because we use those cameras all day, every day, we can look at that camera and tell what the variations typically caused by. Okay. Sometimes it is a small water leak that we can pick up that you don't see by the naked eye.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it can just be a chunk of insulation missing in a wall. And then it can get more serious than that. Hot light switches that are picking up a very high temperature could mean it needs to be replaced, or it's wired improperly. Same with plugs. So thermal imaging is, it's almost 12 years ago now when I started my company. It was brand new to the industry, and we were one of the first in Houston to start using them as a standard at no extra charge. Now it has become a standard in the industry, which is great. I think the industry needed it. Some companies charge for it. I feel like you can't really do a proper inspection without a good thermal imaging camera. So it tells us a whole lot, and it's actually kind of fun when the kids are there to play with, to show them the thermal cameras.
I bet it's like a toy to them.
Oh, it is, and well, to us guys, it's kind of like a toy too.
So that's great. I think that kind of, we covered it all. If you have more questions, I'm Sonal Shah with Real Estate 360 with Sonal. You will be seeing, I'm sure you are seeing my YouTube videos every Wednesdays and Friday. I try to bring guests also. And now you have one more person in addition to call when you're buying a home, HG Home Inspection, because they really do a very good job. Call us, contact us. If you need his information, you lost it, if you have subscribed me, you can always message me. Thank you all. I'll see you next week.